Welcome to a new series at Märklin. We will build a model railroad from scratch in the next couple of episodes. On this tabletop in front of me, we will create a beautiful model train landscape during the series. I will use a starter set like this one in here. It includes the ICE train, railroad tracks forming an oval plus 2 turnouts. We will build up a complete scenery with a beautiful landscape, including houses, electric lights and signals, and just everything that we can control digitally and analog. In all episodes, we will answer all of your questions. So if questions should arise about the construction of a model train, then don't be afraid to ask them in the comment section. I brought in some help by Dejan Kristic from Göppingen, where he leads the seminars at Märklin. If you need someone professional who knows everything from programming a locomotive up to landscaping, then Dejan Kristic is exactly the right person. He will be my assisting expert when I don't know what to do. We will stay in contact during the whole episode and just talk a little bit from time to time. Let's have a look at the ICE starter set and the ICE train that is included here and the train that will be the star of our episode. I will unbox it right now and have a look what's inside. What's nice about the starter sets is that it contains everything you need to get started. First question right away, if you have an old model train from the past, is it possible to combine the old parts with the new ones?
All the parts are basically down compatible. That's a fact we attach great importance to at Märklin. So every part, starting from the metal tracks you may still find at home, can be used together with modern parts. The same goes for all kind of rolling stock, like the locomotives.
But if we are talking about older parts, is it possible to use an analog locomotive together with a modern digital model railroad?
That's not possible. If you use an analog locomotive on a digital track, it would drive away at full throttle. So it is necessary to use a digital locomotive together with a digital control unit.
Let's have a look at the control units. I have already unpacked the starter set. When you buy the starter sets, it contains everything you need to get started with the latest generation of Märklin trains. It also contains the mentioned control unit, also called mobile station. So nowadays it's not called transformer anymore, you call it mobile station instead. It comes with a power pack and a track connector box. Additionally, the starter set contains a variety of tracks and turnouts. And of course, the current generation of a train. In this case, the German ICE2 train, also called Intercity Express. That we will have a closer look at in just a moment. I've seen different kind of control units. Some have a cable attached, others are wireless and work via infrared. Dejan Kristic, can you explain the difference to me?
Starter sets often contain infrared mobile stations. They do not have a cable but are directly connected to a control track, which is used to control the locomotive. It's an easy and simple way to digitally control different locomotives independently on a common track.
So the IR controllers and base stations come with a more affordable starter sets. You can use the IR controller, also called power control sticks, to control up to 4 locomotives independently via infrared. At the same time by using the joystick. This is what you can find in the smaller starter sets, e.g. the farming set containing a class tractor and a small green locomotive. You can also start with the larger scale starter sets you can see here containing the more professional Märklin mobile station. Dejan Kristic, how many locomotives can be controlled with a bigger mobile station at the same time? Isn't it 40?
Yes and no. You can use the mobile station to manage up to 40 locomotives. But the number of controllable locomotives depends on the capacity of your system. What you can see right there is a volt-switched mode power pack. That's enough for a maximum of 4 locomotives running at the same time.
Okay, so for more than 4 locomotives, you don't have enough electricity. If you want more, you have to gear up.
Yes, that's right. But theoretically, you can manage up to 40 locomotives with the mobile station.
Alright, so let's have a closer look at this. I will unbox the whole thing right now. Here's the power pack. And this is the track connector box. I leave the packaging material in the box, so this part can be connected to the tracks in just a minute. We will do this together, which gives you the chance to see the whole process step by step. The next item is the ICE train. We will connect it digitally right on the track using a track assistance device. I will unpack the train carefully. First thing to notice is the Märklin grinder, a very common feature on all Märklin trains. Every track contains a central conductor, so nothing really changed compared to the old tracks.
Yes, that's correct. We use a 3-wire conductor rail system. The positive pole is connected through the central conductor with the grinder.
Let's take a step back and explain some of the terms. I guess the term 3-rail or 2-rail system might be just as new for you as it is for me. I'm still a beginner when it comes to model trains. What I have here is an old control track I found at home. I used it with my model train back in the 80s. You can see the 2 tracks, one left, one on the right and one in the middle. You can see these little dots also called point contacts or Pukos in German, are short for Punktkontakte. If you search for it online, for instance. So it's the same basic principle. The only difference is that the metal tracks, the M tracks, were louder. If you find old tracks at home, they are probably similar to this one. The modern tracks, called C tracks, are made of plastic, but otherwise identical to the old ones. Other model railroad systems have a conductor on the left and on the right-hand side. If you use this on reversing loops to change the direction of the train in order to have it drive back the same way, you might get a short circuit. So that's a totally different system than the famous Märklin system. But Märklin also produces these 2-rail systems under the brand name Trix. If you use a Märklin system, you can recognize it through the central point contacts on the tracks and the grinder on the bottom of the locomotives. If you have these, you already have everything you need for the Märklin system. Isn't that right, Dejan Kristic?
Yes, that's absolutely right.
I have finished unboxing the starter set and I put this aside. Many people keep the packaging in order to put back the parts into the box, for instance, in case if you are playing with the train on the floor. Well, let's get started setting it up. Problem is I have all the parts scattered around on the table and I don't know in which order I have to set them up. What I see here, you can find 2 different lengths on the track. Each one has a number written on the backside. This one says 188 and this one here 172. I've been told that these numbers are connected to a so-called track geometry, meaning certain numbers can be connected, others cannot. I wonder what is the advantage of the C-track, the plastic track? Are they more bendable or more flexible, Dejan Kristic?
Well, when you're planning a railroad system with a fine track diagram, it is of uttermost importance to pay attention to the track geometry. Otherwise, the tracks will not fit and everything gets out of order. That's the reason why we have marked every track with a certain number and different radii. We have a catalog with all kind of information about track geometry and we recommend to stick with it. Otherwise, the parts will not fit and the whole system will be crooked. Every item with a number is explained within this catalog and it is recommended to follow those suggestions since they are very helpful. You have just talked about the article number 24-188. 24 refers to the C track, for example. So that's neglectable. But the number behind, number 188, always stands for the length of the track. So we are talking about 188 millimeters.
I measured that. We are talking about 188 millimeters. That means I can calculate the complete length of my model railroad system. It's exactly 18.8 centimeters in length, which means this track must be 17.2 centimeters long, right? So you are able to measure the complete thing. If we have a look at the manual, we can find a printed seamed circle which shows the smallest track plan possible. I can combine the number 172 with number 188 and again the number 172 and 188 until we have finished the wonderful oval. And here's the information about how to connect the track connector box. We will do this live in this show in just a second and we will be ready to go. Let's start simple and easy, and instead of assembling the large oval, we can start with a small circle. If you only use curved tracks, there is not much to go wrong with. They all have the same number on the back and they seem to be all equally shaped. By combining a few of them, we should be able to run the train in just a few moments. One more question about the C tracks and the M tracks. I read about it and I have lots of old tracks from the past. It shouldn't be a problem to start right away, correct? Isn't it possible to use an M-track railroad system digitally, or do you think I should sell it or get rid of it because the new tracks are so much better?
Well, of course it would be possible. It would be possible to combine the two different tracks since a transition piece exists. But in my professional opinion and in the opinion of my colleagues, we recommend to switch to the C tracks completely. There are several reasons why. Most importantly, it offers a maximum of driving safety. Every article, every locomotive and every wagon will run smoothly over the tracks without any problems. If you use the metal tracks, you might run into problems every once in a while. If a modern locomotive runs over the old, maybe a bit rumbling track, it may get into trouble. Additionally, you may not be able to implement all of the functions with the old tracks the digital control system offers you. Contact tracks, for example, are very difficult to combine with metal tracks and the modern requirements.
Okay, well, that's very complicated for me right now. I have no idea what contact tracks are and still have a lot to learn about it. The topics driving digital, automation and computer control are still something to come. Meanwhile, it is possible with Märklin to completely control your railroad system through a computer. You can automate that completely without any manual control. But for now, I only care about the fun. So my first task is to get this ICE train running. I'm almost finished with my oval, just adding a few more tracks. So is it possible to do anything wrong during assembling, or is it all self-explaining?
Could happen with different radii. If you combine two different radii, or if you miss one, you might combine the wrong pieces. So if you want a full circle, it is necessary to work with only one radius. All you have to do is to orientate on the article number. You have radius 1 right there, which is also specified beneath the track. You can find R1, R2 and up to R5. And you can also find the information within the track number. 130 means radius 1 with a 30-degree circular division.
Thank you. Although I was able to finish the whole thing without doing anything you just said, you can see it's not that hard to set up the tracks. But this was an important point. Let's have a look together again at the manual. You can see these two wires. We can see one is brown and one is red, the two colors.
Brown is, as always, the ground. The red color is a little bit different, since the naming can be a little bit confusing. It is the so-called Bahnstrom or track current. It is abbreviated with the letter B. So many people think B stands for brown, and that would be wrong.
All right, I will start with B for the current track, Bahnstrom. You can see the little letter B right here at the side. Let's change the focus a little bit. So here you can see the smaller letter B right on the side. Let's get more light on the spot for a better view. Now you can see it. The little letter B for track current. So remember, not brown, but red for track current. Next step, we can connect the brown cable to the zero, the grounding as you called it, and now the setup is completed. I don't need to know much more about the whole thing. I have the whole thing now connected to this little track connector box right here that I just took out of the packaging. At this track connector box I can add the mobile station too. There are two ports as you can see, so you can add a second mobile station as well for two people to play with the same model railroad system. On the right hand side is the socket for the power pack, which I am holding in my right hand here. We will connect the power pack right now. I have one already prepared right here, so let's connect it to the connector box. And afterwards we will connect the whole system. Don't worry, nothing can happen since the railroad system is not yet connected to the electricity. First, we have to connect the mobile station with a track connector box, and afterwards we have to confirm within the mobile station that we want to start the system. Is it possible to turn off the system, or is it okay to pull the plug?
When you have finished playing with the railroad, you can simply pull the plug. That's absolutely fine.
Alright, but for now we don't have to pull the plug because we want to get started. We will connect this right here. This one will be connected right here. Be carefully, the pins might break if you use too much force, but usually it is very easy. Now let's connect it, and then the mobile station should start up, now showing the Märklin logo. If I press the stop button now, electricity will flow through the system, and for now I will leave it be. Because even if I hit the stop button, nothing will happen since there are no locomotives on the track. In the next step, we will run up the ICE train from the starter set. Let's see what belongs here. This one has a grinder, and this one also has a grinder. Why do both of them have a grinder? Both locomotives, both powertrains? Are powertrain or locomotives even the right words for it?
Well, powerhead is the correct term. The ICE train can move both directions, so you can find two powerheads. And if you're riding the ICE train, only the grinder in the direction of travel is active. The other one is inactive.
Okay, I will show you now how to run up the train. Right here you can see a track assistance device, which is very handy. No need to manually adjust the train on the tracks. Instead, you simply place the device on the tracks. Let's get a close-up. I'm just adjusting the camera for you to better see the process. Let's have a look at the big camera. Right now you should be able to see it. There it is. Here you can see the track device. We put it right on the tracks. Now simply place the first wagon right on the device and let it roll smoothly on the track. It is cruising already. Now we repeat the whole thing with the next wagon. Watch out for the coupling right in front of the train. Let's get a closer look. If we have the coupling on this wagon, then we need a connector on the other one. Afterwards, we connect the power and you called it right?
Yes, that's right.
Now carefully move the two connected trains to push them together. Already sounding good. Okay, now let's stick them together. And yes, they are already connected. Now let's start working on the third wagon, the second power end. Oh, they are of different weight, Dejan Kristic. What's the difference? Why are they of different weight? Is one a dummy or hollow?
Exactly. Only one of the two powerheads contain an engine. The second one is a dummy.
Okay, here I can see a speaker on the bottom. So the trains in the starter sets contain sound effects and everything, and probably lightning effects too, don't they?
Yes.
So the ICE is ready to start any second now. If this would be an old analog railroad system, I would have one of these beautiful old blue transformers right in front of me. I actually bought a cookie box in the style of the old device. Have a look at this. That's the way they used to look like. You just had to turn it up there and then the train started running. Now the whole thing looks a bit different than it used to look in the 70s and 80s and before. So now I just press stop and see what happens. As you can see, nothing happens. It will take a few seconds because the ICE should be recognized automatically on the system. Now there's a lettering flashing MFX. What does that mean?
Well, the decoder, respectively the mobile station, has recognized the train and the initiation has started.
What does MFX stands for?
It's the kind of format we are using. It is a multi-protocol format which is used bidirectional by the locomotive and the central unit. The central unit searches for the decoder and the decoder reports back to the central unit.
Alright, I thought M stands for Märklin and FX stands for effect or function or something like that.
It's also true.
So basically we have a digital decoder with the locomotive. This decoder is recognized automatically by the mobile station. As you can see, it is quite self-explaining. It says it right here on the mobile station what the next steps are. Simply turn the red knob and everything is alright. The train should start running right now. It works. The train turns the first lap. And that's all it was. So now let's see how fast it can go. In the curve, it will be a bit slower and then it slows down very smoothly. I have already turned it down a little bit before, but it has a brake delay in there. Let's see if it has a start delay as well. Well, not quite driving, I guess I have just derailed it. Quite the demonstration effect. Let's get it started again. There it goes. The train is actually quite short. You can buy an extension set so you can add a second wagon in the middle and continue driving. But right now there's very little space here on the track. In the next step, we want to expand the whole thing to a larger oval. But before we do that, let's have a closer look to this train. It is okay to pull the train back like this by hand. Not so good, isn't it?
That's not so good indeed. The modern drive technology we built into the trains doesn't like it that much when you pull the trains like that.
What's the alternative?
Lift it slightly and move the trains without any friction.
I will move it very carefully. I guess I could move it now with the mobile station. Let's check out the mobile station together. I gathered some information about its functionality beforehand. Let's move the camera a bit farther away so we can see it, the mobile station. Now you can see it. Right here is the symbol for the locomotive. I have pressed the stop button to start it and the train will continue driving again. There are a few symbols up there and these are the buttons on the left hand side and on the right hand side. There are a few more symbols and these are the corresponding buttons on the right hand side. This button looks like illumination for lights. I will press it and the lights will turn on and off. It's not visible on the train right now since we are on the wrong side. Let's switch to the other camera. Maybe we can see the lights on. Yes, we can. Up front, the lights are on. That's the sound button. Now that's the platform announcement. There is a second button. Sounds like a startup noise.
That's the noise of the pantograph moving out.
Okay, the pantograph's right on the top, alright. We can combine it with the second noise here. Right here I can see a symbol in the shape of a turtle. What it is for?
That's shunting or slow drive. If I want to steer the locomotive directly without start and brake delay. So every time you want to shunt your train, simply press that button to directly control the locomotive.
Okay, there's a second symbol here. What is this? Another sound? That's probably another operating sound and down there is a horn, a signal horn. Oh, very nice. That's the mobile station with all its functions. Let's repeat it shortly. The function buttons are on the left and on the right hand side. So all kind of digital functions that are included in the train can be controlled and turned on and off. There's the stop button to instantly stop the whole system and the power supply. There are a few more buttons on this mobile station since we can control many more functions with the mobile station. We can also control turnouts and signals. Additionally, we can control several trains on one railroad system. I guess that's a great improvement that we have a multi-train control on this Märklin system. I remember from my childhood that the analog system was very complicated if more than one locomotive was on the system. What's the situation on this system? Can I simply add another train on the same track or a parallel track?
Let's compare it to the old system. You had one single electric circuit, and every piece of moving equipment within the circuit was controlled directly. It was not possible for the customer to independently address a single locomotive within the circuit. The digital system is different, of course. Every locomotive contains a decoder, a house number, so to speak. The central unit, in this case the mobile station, communicates with every single house number and tells them what to do. So this gives me the opportunity to control a various number of locomotives independently within a single circuit.
Okay, I will give it a try. Let's take the ICE from the track, since we have more space on the system. There are also some turnouts included. Using these, we can easily build ourselves a side track or a second parallel track. One train can wait on this side track, while the second one is passing by. So the both of us, Mr. Kristic and me, could play together with the mobile station. Every one of us holding a mobile station, you get to conduct the ICE and I will conduct the steam locomotive, for example. This gives us the opportunity to play together on the same model railroad system. Perfect for parents. Mom gets to conduct the ICE and the son takes over the steam locomotive. Or the daughter takes the ICE and the father takes the steam locomotive, depending on whoever wants to take it. Let's find out how to connect it. Let's take a look onto the manual. That's where we find it. Where is it? Right up front here. That's where I add a turnout. I will use a second turnout right up front to recreate this from the plan. While connecting the tracks, we better take the ICE off the tracks. Falling off the tracks is not good for the trains, and since Mr. Kristic told us that it is not okay to move it manually, he will not allow me to connect the tracks while the train is still on the tracks. Is it correct?
Yes, because the engine drives two Graden waves which are connected to the bogie. So if you pull the train while the engine is blocked, they will fall off. This means we have to open the train and manually reposition it. The modern drive technology does not like it when you move it manually. It was okay for the older trains in the past.
Well, if you do like he just said, the colleagues in Göppingen are happy to repair the locomotives that you have been sent. All you did was moving the train manually. Just wonderful. Okay, my oval is already looking good, I guess. Mr. Kristic, you have talked about the track geometry. I'm afraid now, since it sounded so complicated, talking about radius 1, radius 2, tracks by serial number. I mean, I have checked out the booklet that comes with the starter set. In the back you can find some inspiration for the track plans. They are looking wonderful. I mean, building this kind of substructure and all these layouts. Are there any sources to download these kinds of layout plans or to look at them? I would be overwhelmed just thinking about building them, starting with pen and paper if I want to build my dream system. Where can I find a suitable track plan?
You can always visit our homepage or have a look at our Märklin magazine. We publish all sorts of new and old track plans. You will find lots of inspiration to start with. Just start and connect a few pieces to get used to it. It is a process. You might make some mistakes along the way, but over time you will get better at this. That's what I do myself. Sometimes it doesn't fit, but that's the way to learn about the track geometry. It is not hard. Just memorize some rules and you'll be alright.
I'm visiting the Märklin homepage right now and I can see a variety of plans from the Märklin magazine. That's the customer or fan magazine of Märklin. You can find all kinds of plans in there, but you can also download them for free on the homepage. That's a good source of inspiration right here. Well, we're talking instead of finishing the oval. Let's try it without the manual. There's one more curve over there. And it fits right here. Now let's remember there is a short and a long track. We can combine these to a longer piece, and now my side track is almost finished. It is way too short for the ICE, but luckily I still have some tracks left, so we will leave it for the next episode. Right now we are able to change the direction of the turnouts. Let's take a closer look. Where is the turnout? Here it is. You can work it manually already. Exactly. But you can add all kind of features. We can add illumination to the turnout or a lantern. We can electrify the turnout in order to control it via the mobile station or a control box. I have an old one here. Well, not an old one, it is a modern one, but that's what they look like. Here you can see a control box for a signal, but you can find them for turnouts as well. You can operate these analog, so you don't need a digital decoder in the turnouts. That's good if you use a smaller starter set which contains a train like this one. You can easily connect a control box to this one to change signals or turnouts. But this one is one of the bigger starter sets where we could add a turnout mechanism and a digital turnout decoder to the turnout. I have already prepared something. Let's see where it is. We can use this to digitalize the turnout. Let's take a closer look. And this is an electric turnout mechanism. That's the look of the packaging. We will use this item in the next episode. We can digitalize the turnouts and then we can control them through the mobile station. We can simply use this button to change from locomotive to a turnout. And then we can program what will change to green or red, respectively straight or diverging. Letter G and R. R for red or diverging and G for green or straight. We will talk about this in one of the next episodes. Is there anything missing, Mr. Kristich? We have finished the first oval. Look over there, the ICE took its first lap. We will put it back on the track now and we will just let it run a few laps. I have explained the mobile station, so all of the trains will be recognized automatically, right? Or do I have to be careful?
We have two generations of decoders. The newer ones, starting from 2004, use the MFX protocol we have mentioned before. They all lock on automatically. If we use an older locomotive, starting from roughly about 1985, 1986 up to 2004 with an older protocol, it will not be able to send its lock-on information to the central unit. So these locomotives have to be locked on manually into the mobile station. But it's an easy task without any difficulties.
I got an older locomotive with me, the beautiful BR103 that I just got second-hand recently. It is an older generation, quite heavily with metal pieces. It does not run as smooth as the newer versions, but is a very nice looking one. I put this on the tracks and don't worry, it will not drive away. The previous owner wrote down the address, the train address for me. If you know the train address or the article number, which was written on the packaging, it is easy to connect the train with the mobile stations manually. You can either use the product number from the Märklin catalog or the Märklin website or the direct address of the train. Is that correct, Mr. Kristich?
Yes, it is possible to completely put on a locomotive by hand into the mobile station. That's what you use the address for. You can look it up within the decoder to find the address of the train. If you're using a Märklin train, the train data are already included in the database of the mobile station. You can simply search for the article number in your mobile station, confirm it, and your train is ready to start. But it only works for Märklin products. Every information, like the name or the settings, is already included.
Okay, let's try it out together. I'm pressing this button right here. That's the shift button. There is the button with a screw wrench and a locomotive symbol. If I press this button, I can modify my locomotive and program an address. You can also remove a locomotive or write a locomotive card. By pressing the shift button and rotating the knob to the right, a plus symbol appears. This should be the place to create a new locomotive. Let's press it again. You can see the function named New Locomotive from Locomotive List. You can also choose from database. Another possibility is the manual creation. There is also the function Detect if for any reason the automatic detection did not work. This is the place to restart it. I'm choosing from database now and I'm already seeing the complete Märklin database. There is the Zeppelin locomotive, the BR184, the BR185 and so on. They are all here. And on the left hand side there are the old Märklin catalog numbers displayed. You can see it. To look up the specific locomotive.
Yes, that's very important. The database contains only the Märklin Motorola addresses that were manufactured by us in the past. All the newer locomotives using the MFX protocol are automatically connected to the mobile station. So these locomotives are not included within the database.
Alright, very good. I'm trying whether I was right about the address of the locomotive or not. Well, that's not working. Must be another number. Okay, no problem. I will look up the address of this beautiful BR103 train for the next episode. Might be a bit tricky if you don't have the packaging anymore, but that's not a problem. We will work it out for sure. Alright, it is time now for a final lap of the wonderful ICE2 train. Have a look over here, I will put the second power end, so you called it, on the track and have a little joyride. First, the stop button to prevent an accident. Oh no, the turnout was in the wrong direction, so I accidentally derailed the train. So make sure the turnouts are in the right position. Okay, done, let's start it. I leave you alone with a few impressions of our beautiful little railroad system. So you can see the system is big enough. The tabletop is about 190 to 120 in dimension. That's rather small. In the next couple of episodes, we will create a mountain back there, a train station right here, maybe a side track here, a couple of houses and illuminated lanterns. We will work with grass and mountain profiles. And Mr. Kristic, you will be my assistant since I have two left hands. You will help me become a professional model railroader. The two of us will read through all of your comments and will answer all the questions that came up during our episodes. Sadly, there was not so much interaction today, but we will answer all your questions afterwards. Information about all the parts and locomotives and equipment that we have talked about and used during these sessions can be found in the description text beneath the video. Goodbye, take care and enjoy your day.